Hey everyone, my name is Mulder and welcome to GameCron, your #1 stop for tips and tricks and fun features on your favorite video games. Today I'm starting off a brand new series talking about the top 5 things I enjoy about playing a new game, and I'm going to be starting that off with Star Wars Squadrons top 5 things that worked. I'll be diving into the things that I truly enjoyed about this game since playing it during release, and I know it was a bit difficult to narrow those things down to just 5, but if there's anything that I missed, definitely drop a comment below on the top 5 things you really enjoyed about this game as well. I know we've been battling in a galaxy far, far away for a while now, but let's dive into our Star Wars Squadrons top 5 things that worked video. Kicking things off is number 5, Starfighter variety. Now Star Wars Squadrons allows you to jump into the cockpit of 4 unique fighters depending upon which faction you choose to play as. For the Rebels, you have a choice between the U-Wing, X-Wing, Y-Wing, and of course, the A-Wing. For the Empire, it's the TIE Fighter, TIE Bomber, TIE Reaper, and of course, the TIE Interceptor. Now I've played my fair share of Star Wars games in the past, such as Star Wars Rogue Squadron, Star Wars TIE Fighter, and of course the new games such as Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, to where you can also fly in those games as well. I was a bit skeptical given the fact that this entire game was built from the cockpit view only instead of going to third person like we've had in other games. But I have to say that you can truly feel the different types of handling and controls depending upon which fighter you choose to play in. The amount of detail inside these things is also great as well, especially when you can customize them to your liking if you want to add like little bobbleheads to a holographic screen. Just depends upon what you'd like to build inside your starfighter. But the biggest thing as well is of course the handling of these starfighters. If you're more suited to having a more balanced control of your starfighter while also dealing a lot of damage, focusing on the support ships such as the U-Wing, TIE Reaper, or the bombers, the Y-Wing bomber, or the TIE Bomber will be best suited for you. The fact that each one of these ships handles differently depending on the playstyle you're looking for adds such variety to this game, and it really feels special when jumping into the cockpit of either one of these starfighters. My favorite starfighters to use in this game so far is the A-Wing and of course the TIE Interceptor. Having the right ship components attached to my starfighters, I'm able to get between 10 to 11 kills per match, also working with a good team. It's always fun to dominate the skies with your friends, but the fact that this game allows you to just dive in and enjoy the different variety of ships is truly special, and the devs truly nailed it with this game. Number 4, VR through EA Origins. Now the true icing on the cake for this game for anyone out there who's always wanted to jump into the cockpit of a starfighter for Star Wars is of course using the VR headset. Using the Oculus for example, you can fully feel immersed in the game right when you sit into the cockpit, where you can look around your ship during the middle of dogfights, from the briefing room to look at all the characters waiting to launch into the game, to basically living out your fantasies of being a starfighter pilot, whether it be for the Rebels or for the Empire. The other great thing too is that the VR for this game wasn't just a simple gimmick like we've seen in past games. They truly integrated it into the game. You can easily tell even by looking at someone who has a VR headset by how their character's head is moving around or how their body is functioning to know that they're using a VR headset. Again, the devs did a great job of integrating VR into this game and truly capturing the feel of Star Wars once you put your Oculus headset on or any other VR headset that you wish to use for this game. I definitely recommend that if you don't have any motion sickness, give the VR chance for this game a try, especially if you're a diehard Star Wars fan like I am. Number 3, lengthy campaign. Now let me make this clear, the game didn't even need a single player story to begin with. The multiplayer alone is worth the price of admission, especially considering the fact that this game is a budget title that you can get for $40 in the US right now. But the single player campaign is not only a welcome add-on to this game, but it's also really fun to play in as well. The story takes place shortly after episode 6, once the second Death Star has been destroyed. The Empire's been hit hard with the loss of the Death Star, but their fleet is still very much intact and is still willing to carry out the fight against the Rebels. The Republic is celebrating their victory against the second Death Star, but they still need to take out remnants of the Empire in order to continue to build the new Republic. You'll be taken into the driver's seat of either Vanguard Squadron for the Rebels or Titan Squadron, which is for the Empire. Both Titan Squadron and Vanguard Squadron wind up meeting up with each other here and there throughout the story. The main draw of this story is that the New Republic is building a brand new weapon while the remnants of the Empire needs to find it and destroy it. The story itself is very entertaining and the mission variety is also decent as well. I will say though, I had a lot more fun playing as the Empire than I did the Rebels simply because of the mission variety that the Empire gets to do. For the Rebels, you'll be doing defend missions and hit and run missions with them for most of the campaign. Now the Empire also has missions as well to where you have to do a lot of hit and run, defend, and attack certain objectives, but the thing about the Empire missions that I liked more was that they also had a variety of different missions that came out of nowhere. For example, one mission with the Empire is that you have to get supplies back to your main destroyer while also defending an Imperial docking yard, but making sure that you sneak away with these supplies before the commander of that docking yard knows what you're doing. Another fun mission with the Empire takes place in the middle of a junkyard, to where dormant reactors of destroyed Star Destroyers are laying wait to where you can activate them and wait for a rebel fleet to come in before detonating them, destroying the fleet, while also fighting off tons of enemy fighters. There are a few missions that Vanguard for the Rebels rebels get to do as well that are special in and of its own right, but I really have to say I had more fun playing as the Empire than the rebels. But either way, the whole thing takes place in a campaign to where you'll play as a few missions with the Empire and then switch over to the rebels and vice versa. It all equals up to a good 6 to 8 hour long campaign depending upon how long you play into the game, and if you choose to go after some side objectives that take place during the missions. Again, the multiplayer is worth the price of admission alone, but the fact that the single player campaign is not only added into this game, but is also really a lot of fun as well, you owe it to yourself to dive into both the moment you get this game.
Great work.
Number 2, ship components. Now I mentioned earlier in this video that the ship variety in this game truly sells the game, but none of that really mean anything if all you could really do is add cosmetics to your ship and your pilot. This game truly lets you dive into the full customization of your ship thanks to ship components. You can switch out anything from your blasters on your ship, to a type of hull integrity you want on your ship, type of shields depending upon which starfighter you're flying in, auxiliary to where you can launch missiles, seeker mines, dropping bombs, tractor beams, pretty much anything you've seen in the Star Wars movies or TV shows you can add it to your Starfighter. You'll get points to unlock new shipping components every time you level up in the game. What's really great about this game is that there are different builds for different starfighters depending upon your playstyle. You want a starfighter that has excellent shields, hull, but has a little bit of slower speed to where you can get a steadier shot, you can build that. You want a starfighter that can make tight turns, go at high speeds, and do devastating damage, and then get out of dodge quickly, you can also build that. I talk about all the different starfighter builds in my tips and tricks series I've done on this game so far, so if you're definitely interested in building certain starfighters, take a look at those videos. But overall, because there's so many ship components that you can build with your starfighter and build it up the way that you want to fit your playstyle and your control scheme, whether you're on a controller, mouse or keyboard, or even on a joystick, it makes this game all the more fun to play. Not to mention the fact that not all ship components, but a few, once you unlock them from one particular starfighter, can actually carry over to another that you're using, provided it's with the same faction. If this game was just simple customization to where you can maybe switch out a blaster, your shield, or maybe a missile here and there, and didn't have the ship components, this game would truly not be as great as it is right now. But the variety of ship components you can unlock, along with the endless amount of builds you can go with this game to where you can build your starfighter to either fit the meta that you're going with, or simply want to have more support for your team, you can do that with this game. The ship components, in my opinion, make this game truly stand out compared to other Star Wars games out there like Star Wars TIE Fighter, along with Star Wars Battlefront games to where you could take into the air. It truly makes this game special in and of its own right. Now before we get to number 1, if you've enjoyed this video so far, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for a lot more. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram to where we post not only new videos that's coming to the channel, but also on our Instagram page as well. We have tons of other games planned for this channel once we're done with Star Wars Squadrons, such as Watch Dogs Legions very soon, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Cyberpunk 2077, Far Cry 6, and so much more. So definitely subscribe to stay tuned. And finally, number 1, great cast of characters and excellent character development. Now the Star Wars single player campaign is fun on its own, but what truly makes it special is the fact that you can talk to the pilots that you're flying with and get more character development and understand why they're fighting and what they're here for. Not one particular pilot is the same as the other, especially in different factions. A lot of the rebel pilots talk about their past lives along with the fact of what they plan to do once the war is over, but more importantly as to why they fight the Empire. Many of them have lost family to the Empire, some of them used to be former Imperials themselves before realizing the true darkness that the Empire is doing to the galaxy. It all depends upon what you get in the information and if you go out of way to talk to these people, along with the fact of meeting some certain characters that you've seen in past TV shows of Star Wars. I honestly have to say what really drove me into the character development was hearing a lot of the pilots from the Empire. Some of the Imperial pilots you'll talk to have a very gun-ho attitude to where they want to be the best in the galaxy, or as to why they too are fighting against the rebels. Some of the Imperial pilots have actually lost family and friends to the rebels earlier on in their life. It's not like how I've seen in past Star Wars TV shows, movies, or even video games to where it's more clean cut, to where the rebels are good, the Empire is bad. You actually get to see the gray area talking to all these different pilots. One of my favorite characters to talk to is Stan. Stan is a pilot that you'll meet on the Empire side to where this guy has just been through hell and back again fighting for the Empire. He's been shot down quite a few times and has taken a lot of damage towards his body to where now he's more bionicle than flesh now. You can just hear it in his voice to where he's constantly in pain thanks to these new bionic enhancements to where it keeps him alive and keeps him going. But instead of calling it quits after being shot down a few times, he uses that as his determination to get back at the rebels.
The first crash was hardest. Had to relearn breathing, walking. Saw my cockpit in nightmares. Wasn't personal. The rebels shot me down. My wingmate returned fire. But pain is personal.
I really had nothing but admiration for Stan because you can truly hear the pain in his voice as he talks, but more so over he refuses to give up and fights for the cause of not only the Empire, but for his fellow squad mates. You also get to join him on a vendetta mission later on in the story to where he gets back at a group of rebel fighters that shot him down earlier, but you truly have to sit back and enjoy that one to experience it. Another good thing about this too is that you don't have to talk to these characters. If you're more the kind of player to where you just want to dive into the single player story, do a couple quick missions and be done and jump into multiplayer without having to talk to anybody, you can do that. But I do say give it a time and talk to a few Starfighter pilots to where you can get an understanding of where they're coming from and get a little more deeper character development and just kind of flesh out the Star Wars universe a little bit more for yourself. Again, it's up to you, but I've found quite a few characters from the Empire to even the Rebels that I truly enjoy talking to. It adds more variety and more punch to the story that I truly enjoy talking to these characters. And that's it for our Star Wars Squadrons Top 5 Things That Worked video. I truly hope you enjoyed this video and subscribe for a lot more that's coming. I'll be doing one more Star Wars Squadrons video, and the next video that I'll be doing will be focusing on the top 5 things that didn't work for this game. If you'd like to stick around and find out what 5 things I didn't like about this game, I'll be dropping that video a little later in the week. I look forward to seeing you again soon, but until then, I'm Mulder, and I'll see you next time in the GameCron.
I'm here for you, They're
the best the Empire has. This war won't last much longer.